Hi everyone, welcome back to ActiveLab. My name is Alina and I'm here today with a very special guest, Jeff Maloney. We're here to talk about your award for Outstanding Elected Official for our Noches Gala happening this September on the 12th. And you're also here to represent the City of Alhambra because the City of Alhambra also got awarded Outstanding City. So we're excited to have Jeff Maloney.
Hi, everyone.
All right, so pretty much we kind of want to know how you got started in Alhambra and if you can give us a brief background.
Sure. Well, I grew up actually locally in the San Gabriel Valley in Pasadena, East Pasadena, and Alhambra was kind of part of my world growing up. So I moved here, I think about 24 years ago, and I got involved with some city commissions, including Parks and Recreation and Planning Commission and Transportation, and it just seemed like a natural step to take the next leap into elected office. So I ran for city council back in 2016.
Wow.
Fortunately, I won, and then I was reelected in 2020, and here I am again, and the election season's coming up pretty quickly.
Nice. Are you excited?
There's always a mix of kind of dread and excitement. It's a lot of work, but I like campaigning. I like talking to people in the community, talking about what the city's doing, about my vision for our community. So it's not all negative for me. I like it.
Awesome. And with upcoming projects, what has been some of like your favorite projects that you've been doing for the City of Alhambra?
Yeah. Well, I think the two big things that happened recently that I've been working on pretty much since I got elected about 8 years ago. We recently adopted the city's very first bike and pedestrian plan. It was a kind of a long process, but we were able to get it done, and it's really exciting. Of course, the plan is one thing, and then the implementation is the next step.
Right.
So now we have to make sure that we are getting the funding, the appropriate level of funding, and implementing the projects that were approved. And that's going to be on our agenda over these next couple of years. The other one is thanks to our wonderful Congresswoman Judy Chu. Recently, she was able to get funding from the federal government for Alhambra's very first comprehensive sustainability plan. So that's in the works now. We're doing outreach, we're doing community engagement on what sustainability means to the community in Alhambra, and we're going to collect all that data, and our consultants are going to put together a plan, get more engagement on that, and soon enough we're going to have another monumental plan here in the city, and then work on implementation of that as well. So those are two very exciting things that we're working on.
Nice. And is there I know you said that it takes a while for things to get the whole process and everything. How long would you say like a typical project would take for it to be implemented?
You know, some people, they describe cities, even medium-sized cities like Alhambra, like steering a big ship, on the ocean, that you can't just, flip a U-turn. You have to kind of slowly plan for it, and then it takes a while to get it going. And it might seem like a negative thing, but it's not necessarily anyone's fault. It is just the nature of operating a big municipal government that takes care of the streets and the sewers and any number of things in the community. And then every 4 years you have new elected people who have their own ideas about how things should go. So it does take some time to kind of get consensus in the community, get consensus among the council members, and for staff and the policymakers, the council, to work on these things, to figure out how they're going to move forward. I don't know if that answered your question, but that's sort of one of the things that is part of this process is you have to plan. As opposed to individual projects, which can happen pretty quickly. But if you want to tackle something like bike and pedestrian safety or sustainability, those are multiple projects, multiple policies, all sorts of different things that come into play. So it really has to be a comprehensive approach if you want to do it the right way. Because you spend so much energy doing one-off projects that by the time you get 2 or 3 or 4 of these done, you're exhausted, and people sort of lose motivation and attention. So if you have an overarching policy, a plan that you can adopt, and then you tick off the projects underneath it, you've done a lot of the work up front, and then you're just implementing. So I think that's really one of the lessons that I've learned. if you're going to put the effort in, you might as well go big.
So would you say that those are the biggest challenges that you have to tackle, or are there?
Yeah, timing and planning, all of these they're challenges. They're not impossible, but in a community like Alhambra, it's not a small city. It's 85,000 people.
Right.
But we also happen to be next door to LA. I mean, we border Los Angeles, one of the biggest cities in the region, in the world, and there's just so many things going on. And I know people are busy trying to keep their head above water, raising families, working, doing all sorts of different things. So one of the other challenges is building kind of a community consensus, getting the information to the community about what the city's plans are, and getting information back from them so we know that we're going to be doing the right thing by our community as well. So I think that sometimes it's kind of an information gap, not because people don't want to know, but they're so busy in their lives that it's hard to just put things out there and expect that everyone's going to understand it or read it or take the time to learn about it. So that's one of the challenges for the city, for the council and staff and our consultant teams and everyone, is to make sure that the community knows what we're doing, so that we don't show up one day and start working on a project and they say, what the heck is going on?
Right.
They don't know what's happening in their own front yard. We want to make sure we're avoiding that, and that they're aware of what's happening in their community and that they're on board with it.
Would you say that the commissioners kind of also help, like, guide you with some ideas?
Yeah, absolutely. We have 5-member city council, we have staff, but we also have multiple city commissions where it's residents, and it's people that we know, our neighbors, our friends, people that are just involved in the community themselves, and they act as eyes and ears for the city as a whole out in the community. They give us feedback, they provide advisory information back to us through their meetings, but they just help us to understand what's going on out in the community. So it really is an important role to have.
Nice. Going back to, I know that you were on different commissions.
Yeah.
What was your favorite commission that you participated in?
I mean, they're all very different. The Planning Commission tackles some really serious stuff, so it's difficult. I like that work, but maybe my favorite, just because of my background, I'm an attorney for Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, which is kind of a park agency. It's almost a regional park agency. We own a lot of properties out there. So my first commission was Parks and Recreation, and that was kind of my favorite, just because it was really in line with my background. I really care quite a bit about parks and improving and expanding parks in our community. So that was a really cool one to be a part of. It was my first one, so it was new.
Nice. I'm actually on the Parks Commission too.
Good work.
For the City of Rosemead.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, and it's my first commission that I've been on, and it's been a journey. I think it's a really good introduction.
That's right.
But yeah, with that, is there any advice that you would give someone who is looking into becoming a city council official, or even someone who's like on a commission and wants to do more? Like is there any advice that you would give them?
I mean, look, commissions are a great way to start, because you kind of get to peek behind the curtain a little bit as to what's going on. You have that one-on-one interface with city staff and council members and other commissioners. So that's a great way to start. For people who want to think about taking that next step into elected office, it's a big commitment, and there's a lot of sacrifice. My family can attest to the fact that I'm not there as much as I would be otherwise, but we all sort of understand why I'm doing it, and it works out for us. It's not going to be a perfect fit for everyone, so I would say first make sure you know what you're getting into, but once you do, go for it, because we need people with diverse backgrounds, diverse opinions, from different age groups. You can't have sort of the same people in these positions all the time. I mean, there's a whole discussion about term limits that I won't go into now, but it is important to get new voices in elected office. And it's been really nice for me to be in a position like this, because I think I bring a new perspective, but I have enough experience, and I've lived here long enough that I sort of understand the history of Alhambra a little bit. And it was the right timing for me. So I would say for people that are going in, make sure you know what you're getting into. But once you're there and you're convinced and you know that you want to do it, then go for it and don't hold back. Everyone appreciates when someone steps up to serve their community. They may not always be happy with the results and the decisions that you make, but people thank me all the time, and I have to thank them for supporting me, but they thank me for putting myself out there and doing the work, and I appreciate it. It's nice to give back to the community.
Yeah, it's a big role too,
Yeah.
to kind of be a voice for the city and everyone. Is there any advice that you wish you knew before you ran for city council?
The time commitment. I knew it was going to be a lot of work, but it's not just the meetings. It's the events you have to go to make sure you're keeping up there. The phone calls at different times a day. Like I said, I like it. I enjoy talking to people in the community about the issues that are before the city. But it's a lot of work. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of work. I have a full-time job. I have a family with 2 kids and the council stuff, and I'm involved with some other nonprofits as well. So it's a lot to keep up with, but I'm glad I did it. And I say I wish I would have known. I kind of knew, but I sort of pretended like it wasn't real.
Mm-hmm. How many years have you been on the city council for?
I think I'm coming up on 8 years now, so 7.5 years just about. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do you see yourself? I know you're going to be serving on, or hopefully serving on the next city council.
Yeah, knock on wood.
Yeah. Knock on wood. Do you see yourself taking a step up in the future? Or?
People ask that. Right now, my priority is finishing my time on the council and making sure my kids are raised in a responsible way. Not saying people can't do that in other offices, but it'd be hard for me personally and for my family if I was away in Sacramento or someplace farther. So we'll see. Talk to me again in 4 years.
All right. We will. We're going to hunt you down. Like, Jeff Maloney, we're here to interview you again. All right. And I guess stepping a little bit back to when you were a resident, before you became city council, what made you decide to join a commission and start being more involved in your community? Yeah,
I've always been community oriented, meaning like I try to pay attention to what's going on, and I see things that I think could be better. I see other things that are going really well. So, I was just someone who enjoys that aspect of community involvement. Not everyone does, and I understand that, but I knew that I was kind of geared that way. I always have been. So it was sort of a natural step for me. It was still a steep learning curve. I was community oriented and involved and interested in what's going on, but once you even get on a commission like Parks and Rec, there's still a lot to learn, about all the different parks and recreation facilities and the funding that goes into it and the improvements that have to be done, the maintenance, all of these things you don't really know until you get in there and see those details. But it was just something that felt right for me, and I'm glad that I did it because it kind of helped start this whole experience.
So what do you love most about being a city official for the City of Alhambra?
Yeah. What I love most is when we finish something, when we actually accomplish something that we set out to do. So, when a project, we can do a ribbon cutting, or even something as small as, we had Arbor Day recently, and we, Alhambra is now a Tree City USA, recognized as a Tree City USA, and we go plant a tree every Arbor Day. We need many more trees, but it's just nice to be able to go to those things and have some sort of positive recognition of what the community is doing. We're excited about, opening new parks and doing park improvements. So those things, when you actually see it in the ground and completed, that's really enjoyable. And when you get thanked, it's nice to when people come to the meetings and they say thank you for doing what you're doing. It's appreciated, and that's not why we do it, I think, but it is nice. It's a nice part of being on the council.
To have that recognition and all that hard work kind of in fruition.
That's right, and it doesn't always happen. People, more often than not, people don't come to the meetings to thank you. They come to be upset about something. So it is nice, but it's an enjoyable part.
Nice. Do you have a favorite program or project?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I'm most excited about in the next few years is our brand new community center that is in the works. There's an old LA County medical clinic that was shuttered for decades, and the county gave it back to the city, and we embarked on kind of an effort to figure out what we're going to do there. And the response was that we want to do a community center, our first new community center in many years, and it's the full service community center that we'll ever have. So we were able to get funding through the state a couple of years ago. Our Assembly member Mike Fong and our state senator at that time, Susan Rubio, got together and helped us fund this at quite a bit of funding for this project. So now we're doing the environmental phase, but the vision that we have for this center, for our community, is it's one of my favorite things that we've worked on in the last few years. So, I think about the future. I always worry, am I even going to, even if I win re-election, am I still going to be around when this thing opens? And there's so many things, but that's not why you do it. You do it for the future and for the community and the people that will follow us. So it's really, that's something I'm really excited about.
Yeah, and I think even the implementation is important too, because if you don't see it, knowing that you were able to start this project, I think is really nice.
Yeah, and it's, it'll be gratifying when we do groundbreaking and when we, award the contract to the contract. I mean, all these things, all these steps are what you do it for. It's great to see that kind of progress.
And with that, if someone wanted to be more involved, is there any way for them to be involved? Let's say if they didn't want to be on a commission, how would they be more involved in the community?
There's just being present, coming to the meetings, communicating with us. There's a lot of people that come to our meetings regularly that are not on commissions, but we listen to them. And it's great, period. But there's a downside, is that there's a lot of people that don't have the chance to come to the meetings, take time out of their evenings and spend 2, 3, 4 hours at a council meeting. So we have to make sure we're balancing that out. So I would encourage people to, even if they can't come in person, to call into Zoom. We broadcast all of our meetings live over Zoom, and in our community there's a live video player that you can click in through the city website. I just encourage people to listen, to make public comment, to write letters, just to let us know what they're thinking, what's going on. There's a lot of ways to impact the community instead of volunteering and being on a commission or something like that.
Right. Yeah, and there's also the meetings are also recorded and published onto the city website as well. So let's say if someone doesn't have time to listen directly to the meeting while it's live, they can always hear it after.
That's right. Yeah, and each item, I think, agenda item is linked. So if you can click on the agenda link in the video, it'll actually take you to that timestamp. So you don't have to sit and watch a 4-hour meeting for a 15-minute discussion.
Nice. So. Awesome. So how did you hear about ActiveSGV, and how did you start getting involved with this? Yeah,
I've been aware of ActiveSGV before it was even ActiveSGV. It was Bike SGV back then, and it was a smaller organization, and it's been really nice watching it grow over the years and grow into something more than it actually. If I'm not mistaken, I think basically got its start advocating for bike lanes and bike plans in Alhambra and in the surrounding communities. So it's really nice to see it grow and to see the partnership with not only Alhambra, the City of Alhambra, but all the surrounding communities just really grow. It's really has been an impressive time for me to watch this organization grow. And I personally appreciate the fact that it has gone beyond just bike and pedestrian stuff, but really into environmental justice and kind of overarching concerns about the health of our community, and especially for people in our community who oftentimes are marginalized for being from different demographic backgrounds or speak different languages. So I think ActiveSGV is so needed in our area. So I really appreciate that, and it's been obviously, we love things like Active Streets, formerly 626 Golden Streets. When I was mayor, I think the first time that it happened, and when I got the phone call from ActiveSGV, asking if we wanted to cooperate. I mean, I think I said yes before the sentence was finished. So because I love going, I've been to those events in the past when it didn't come through Alhambra, and I love going to the ciclovias. So it was a no-brainer for me. So that's been really rewarding to have that relationship and to see that those programs grow here in Alhambra, but really the whole region.
Yeah, that's awesome. And now you are awarded Outstanding Elected Official for our Noches Gala.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you heard that news?
I was honored. I was very gratified. I don't think most elected officials don't do the work that they do to win awards, but I'm not going to lie, it's very nice to be recognized. It's the right thing to do, and if people appreciate that and want to give you an award for it, then I'm more than happy to accept. But I was very honored. It was humbling. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to having you there.
Yeah.
We're excited. A segment that we like to do here on our ActiveLab podcast is we like to have office talk towards the end of the podcast. It's just this really fun segment where we ask just a fun question. So my question to you today is, what is your favorite place to visit in Alhambra? It could be multiple places that you like to go with your friends, your family.
Yeah, I can't just pick one because I'll get in trouble for that. But this park that we're sitting at actually is one of my favorite places.
It's beautiful.
This is called Burke Heritage Park, and it is really just a kind of a little grassy area. Our historical society has their office and a little museum here that it's being revitalized. They're doing a great job. We have a xeriscape garden in the corner over there, which is actually in need of a little refreshing. But thankfully, to the efforts again of our assembly member Mike Fong, we were able to get some funding to redo this. So the vision for that is to recreate a really up-to-date California native plant garden there, with some interpretive and explanatory information for people to come in there. So we're looking to create that little kind of oasis, but the rest of it is just a grassy area where people come, where people from the apartments, they might not have their own yards, but this is just a great place for people to come and sit and enjoy this place passively. People love to bring their dogs here. Some beautiful old trees, and it's a neat little park. We're excited about the future for this park. We don't want to mess it up too much, but we are going to be doing a stormwater capture project here, where we'll install some capture devices where we capture the stormwater from surrounding streets and collect it here, infiltrate it, so that we clean the water, recharge the groundwater table, and really contribute to the overall health of our waterways in the region. So that's exciting, and we got to make sure we're balancing it all out to make sure it doesn't lose its really kind of laid-back character. And it happens to be just a few blocks from my house, so I get to ride my bike here or walk when the time is right. Awesome. Oh, I do want to say, so restaurants in Alhambra have come such a long way in the last decade, several years, and there's so many places along Main Street, along Valley, that I love to eat at. So I would encourage everyone to come out and eat. I don't want to single any place out, but I do have good friends that run Yang's Kitchen, which is just one of my favorite places to eat. I think it is I think of it as kind of Asian American food, and they just do a great job of sourcing things from sustainable vendors and putting it together in a way that really is incredible.
Nice. Yeah, I actually was able to conduct business interviews during our last Mission to Mission along Main Street. And I don't spend a lot of time in Alhambra, so it was really nice to see all the different businesses. It was really great. And being able to talk to the owners, who were all so nice and so lovely, and it was really great meeting them. But I have like a little Alhambra day in my head that a couple restaurants I want to check out. I want to go record shopping. I know there is a record store.
Right, a little vinyl store.
And then just maybe I'll check out Yang's Kitchen.
It's great.
Right?
Right across the street from the vinyl store.
Yeah.
It's called Street Records, right? I think
that's Street Records.
Went to the opening a couple of years ago. It's a great little place.
Yeah.
It's a good place.
There's also a thrift store, I believe. I can't remember the name
Yeah,
of it.
yeah, just down a little bit farther west. I think it's Main Street Attraction. I think.
There
it's
you go,
called. Yeah,
Main
yeah.
Street Attraction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually was able to do an interview there, and it's nice because a lot of the staff there are volunteers.
Yeah.
So a lot of, or the money that you use to purchase goes back into different
Yeah.
Organizations.
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah.
Great.
So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, that's gonna be my perfect Alhambra day. So.
Yeah, I would recommend maybe thinking about doing it on a Sunday because the farmers market is right there on 2nd Street.
Right.
We had it during the Mission to Mission event. It gets a little crazy down there on that day,
Yeah.
but on a regular Sunday, the farmers market's still there. Great produce,
Yeah.
great prepared food, and you can go eat at one of the restaurants along the way
Yeah.
as well. Right now, it is June, and the strawberries from Chavez Farms are some of the best you'll ever have.
Wow. Okay, that's exciting. We actually do table at the farmers markets, Active
Great.
SUV.
Yep.
Yeah. I believe once a month.
Yep.
Yeah. So we'll be doing that throughout the summer. So definitely. Also, the hummus is really good there.
Yeah, excellent.
I'm a big fan of the hummus. Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, it's a nice spot. It's a point of pride. I think it's going on almost like 35 years now. Our farmers market. Yeah,
Wow.
so it's great.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much for being on our podcast. We're really excited to see you on September 12th at our Noches Gala.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, and for those listening, if you want to come to our Noches Gala in September, feel free to buy a ticket. Our tickets will be linked down below in our bio. And yeah, you get to come hang out with some really great honorees. Well, thank you so much for listening, and thank you for joining us here today at ActiveLab.
My pleasure.
Feel free to follow us at ActiveSUV and listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. Yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye.